Yes, let's start the brain, the central nervous system, peripheral nervous system, autonomous nervous system. Central nervous system include the brain and spinal cord. Now we are looking towards the brain. As we said, there are three layers: dura mater, pia mater, and arachnoid matter. Outermost thick double-layered membrane is said to be dura mater, which it lines the inner surface of the cranial cavity. The space present between the dura mater and arachnoid matter is called subdural space, and space present between the arachnoid matter and pia mater is said to be subarachnoid space. Then arachnoid matter is a thin webby middle membrane, we say, and pia mater is a thin innermost which closely adhere to the brain. Three meninges that mammals or human being is having. And now let's move to the very important part here. The locating these particular portions of the brain is very important for us. The forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Forebrain is also called prosencephalon. Midbrain is also said to be mesencephalon. The hindbrain is said to be rhombencephalon. The prosencephalon of the forebrain include olfactory bulb and cerebrum diencephalon with the limbic system. Midbrain or mesencephalon include cerebral peduncles or crura cerebri, corpora quadrigemina, and hindbrain or rhombencephalon include cerebellum, pons varoli, and medulla oblongata. Remembering these particular portions of the brain like olfactory bulb, cerebrum, diencephalon, crura cerebri, corpora quadrigemina, and cerebellum, pons varoli, medulla oblongata to their respective positions, to which part of the brain they belongs to. This is going to be very important for us to write in the different kinds of math followings in case of questions from the brain. And here in this particular PDF, we are going to show the different portions of the brain. It's very difficult to visualize all the particular parts of the brain in a single, that because that the brain size is going to be comparatively more in larger in compare with the cranial capacity of the head region. That's why that is much compressed. Overlapping regions you can find over that in brain, that one part is going to overlap on another portion, that here that makes over the little visual confusion will be get raised over. In this PDF we tried to show that to avoid that particular visual issues, we made it over each and every part in the different dimensional diagrams we are showing here. On every page, well, that the way to read that particular PDF is that on every page, here I will find a display in this particular page what you are going to look forward. The longitudinal fissure, lobes, gyri, and sulci. In this particular page, we are trying to locate that particular. So we are entered into the brain, that forebrain first of all, the forebrain or prosencephalon. As we said, that include three: olfactory bulb, cerebrum, and diencephalon. Let us try to locate the issues of the cerebrum here. That purely based on the text here, that not going to learn anything additional in the brain except that particular text portions is given as the visuals. Okay, so let's see here. There is cerebrum. The items in the cerebrum are lobes of the brain. First of all, let us try to locate the lobes of the brain. That you can see this particular red one. There is a frontal lobe and the parietal lobe, and just follow the arrow mark. That these are said to be temporal lobes and occipital lobe. Frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, occipital lobe. That they are named after the presence of their locations below the skull. As you may know, that frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone, and occipital bone. Based on that, there are certain locations, the lobes are named as frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital lobes. Okay. Then, so let us see here what is given here about the lobes. Cerebrum is divided into four lobes: frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. Next, the longitudinal fissure. That cerebrum, we know the cerebrum is the biggest, largest part of the brain, which is divided into two halves. Cerebral hemispheres, we can say. The two cerebral hemispheres are having a groove in between. That between the two cerebral hemispheres, you'll find the groove. That groove is said to be longitudinal fissure. Just see the cursor here. that longitudinal fissure, we say that cerebral, the particular between the two cerebral hemispheres. Okay. Next, need to see the gyri and sulci also in the same diagram, the gyri and sulci. So what are gyri and sulci along with the fissure? The deepest groove is called as fissure. Shallow grooves, we say sulci. That folds we can call gyri. Fold, gyri. Grooves we say sulci. And deepest grooves, that means we say them as fissures. As now we are seeing the longitudinal fissure, which is the deepest groove. Okay, now you can see the folds here as well as their grooves in between them. The folds are called gyri and fissure, that grooves are called sulci, and in between them we'll find the longitudinal fissure, deepest groove. Okay, so these are the issues of cerebrum. Three issues are there here in the page: longitudinal fissure, lobes, and surface of the cerebral cortex. Okay, next, let's come to the remaining portions of the cerebrum. Here in this particular page, we are trying to locate corpus callosum, cerebral cortex, and sensory motor areas. Here, when you see one half of the cerebrum that we call cerebral hemisphere, you can see corpus callosum. So this is the corpus callosum, and upper portion of the cerebral hemisphere is said to be cortex, the gray portion of the brain, cortex we say. And the what is corpus callosum? The connection between the two cerebral hemispheres present beneath the cortex. The transverse wide flat bundle of myelinated fiber. It is said to be the transverse wide flat bundle of myelinated fibers. It brings coordination between the right and left sides of the cerebral hemisphere. And about the cortex, that is the surface of cerebrum composed of gray matter, and here neuronal cell bodies are much concentrated. The functional areas of the cerebral cortex, there are three: sensory area, motor area, and association area. Okay, then sensory area, which receive and interpret the sensory impulses. Motor area, which control voluntary and muscular movements. Association area, neither clearly sensory nor motor. It deals with the interactive functions like the memory analysis likewise. Then in the same forebrain will have that the brain stem also, that brain stem, who is called brain stem. Here you see midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The three collectively called that the brain stem. So we have completed the forebrain like olfactory lobe, cerebral hemisphere, and diencephalon. Sorry, in that cerebrum we are completed. Now we are moving towards the diencephalon. In the diencephalon, that is a part of that forebrain itself, diencephalon. Diencephalon is also called thalamencephalon. There are three portions in the diencephalon to be epithalamus, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Let us try to locate that particular three first of all: epithalamus, thalamus, and hypothalamus. Here this HT, whatever given, that is hypothalamus. You can see the attached to the hypothalamus pituitary gland is there. The connection is with the help of infundibulum, and this is thalamus. Okay, so let us see about that particular information, which is a very the huge in case of examination point of view. This page is going to play vital role. More questions are going to get based on hypothalamus. Okay, let's see one after another. The diencephalon, that posterior most part of the forebrain. Then it includes epithalamus, hypothalamus, thalamus. Roof of diencephalon is called as epithalamus. It's a non-nervous portion of epithalamus which is fused with the pia mater and form the anterior choroid plexus. The epithelium of epithalamus form a pineal stalk which ends into a rounded structure called pineal stalk. Actually, description in neat point of view not much necessary. That whatever given in capital letters, that you need to focus on that. That means epithalamus contain two: anterior choroid plexus and pineal body. Okay, then comes to the thalamus, which is superior to the midbrain, major coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling. On that way, we get question here: major coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling is that thalamus. And having many questions in hypothalamus, it play a vital role that having connection with the pituitary gland with the help of stalk or infundibulum, and hypothalamus only control and integrate the activities of autonomous nervous system, as well as hypothalamus is said to be control the secretions of the pituitary gland also, that we discuss in chemical control and coordination chapter. And besides this, hypothalamus is having various functions like it's a satiety center, it's a feeding center, it's a thermoregulatory center, osmoregulatory center, thirsty center, various areas. So that's why having a great scope for examination. That's satiety center, feeding center, thermoregulatory, osmoregulatory, and a thirst center. That neurosecretory cells secrete hypothalamic hormone, as we said, that going to store in the neurohypophysis like oxytocin and vasopressin. That we'll discuss in detail in chemical control and coordination. So this is the page about hypothalamus. Next, limbic system. Talking about the limbic system, the inner portions of the cerebral hemisphere and a group of associated deep structures like amygdala, hippocampus are going to form the limbic system. Okay, who is going to form the inner parts of cerebral hemisphere and a group of associated deep structures like amygdala, amygdale, hippocampus are going to form limbic system. Limbic system along with the hypothalamus, that regulation of the sexual behavior and expression of emotional reactions. Limbic system, regulation of sexual behavior and expression of emotional reaction. This is all about the forebrain. I do remember you again. Forebrain include olfactory lobe, cerebral hemispheres, and diencephalon. To be remembered, in case of cerebral hemisphere, gyri, sulci, and longitudinal fissures, the upper cortex, cerebral cortex we say, and the connection between the two cerebral hemispheres is corpus callosum, and cerebral hemispheres are said to be sensory, motor, and association area. When it comes to the diencephalon include that three here, that epithalamus, thalamus, and hypothalamus. To be remembered in case of hypothalamus about the anterior choroid plexus and pineal stalk. Then about the thalamus, major coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling. Hypothalamus, satiety center, feeding center, thermoregulatory center, osmoregulatory center, and going to regulate the secretions of hormones of anterior pituitary, and stores that secrete the hormones like oxytocin, vasopressin, and stores in the neurohypophysis of the pituitary gland. Hypothalamus itself having connection with the pituitary gland with the help of infundibulum. That to be remembered. Now about the limbic system, which is the regular questioning area. Limbic system is inner parts of the cerebral hemisphere and amygdala, hippocampus is called limbic system, and along with the hypothalamus ring, limbic system is going to regulate the sexual behavior and expression of emotional reactions in human being. Now let's move to the midbrain, mesencephalon, located between the thalamus and hypothalamus of the forebrain and pons varolii of the hindbrain. Hence we call it as midbrain. The ventral portion of the midbrain is having crura cerebri, cerebral peduncles we say, and dorsal portion is of midbrain is having corpora quadrigemina. The four optic lobe, presence of four optic lobes, we say corpora quadrigemina. There are two optic lobes on superior side, superior caliculi, and two optic lobes on inferior side, inferior caliculi. Okay. So what is crura cerebri? A connection between the cerebral hemisphere of the forebrain with the pons of the hindbrain, which is located on the midbrain. So simply we say it's a connection actually. Connecting what? Cerebral hemisphere with pons varolii. Okay. Next, cerebellum. We say it as little brain, the part of hindbrain. We know that hindbrain or rhombencephalon include three: cerebellum, pons varolii, and medulla oblongata. Isn't it? Then when it comes to the cerebellum, cerebellum is also having two lobes, cerebellar hemispheres we say. Each cerebellar hemisphere consists of anterior, posterior, flaccular, three lobes. Each cerebellar hemisphere consists of three lobes like anterior, posterior, and flaccular. In between the two cerebellar hemispheres, there is a lobe called vermis. Let us try to locate here. This is the vermis, the middle lobe, and each cerebellar hemisphere is having anterior and posterior flacula. There's anterior, posterior, and flacula, three lobes on both sides. That the cerebellum is having arbor vitae. We don't have this in NCERT text here, but let's see. Arbor vitae, the white matter which is ramifying over on the gray matter, which look like the branching of tree. We call it as arbor vitae, that you can locate in this particular diagram like this, like branching tree, like white matter. That means myelinated axons are present there. Okay, about the cerebellum. Little brain, second largest part of the brain, consists of two cerebellar hemisphere, one central vermis. Each cerebellar hemisphere consists of anterior, posterior, and flaccular lobes. Arbor vitae, a branching tree-like core of white matter, is called arbor vitae, the tree of life. It is surrounded by a sheath of gray matter called as cerebral cortex. Cerebellum is responsible for the control and coordination of the locomotory movements. Cerebellum is called gyroscope of the body. Very important to say that when we say very important, not for brain point of view, for our examination point of view. For brain point of view, everything is going to be important here for our health. So when we are going in examination point of view, when we say important, that question may be repeated for so many number of times. You need to understand. The cerebellum is called gyroscope of the body because it maintains the equilibrium. The damage to cerebellum even result into ataxia, like uncoordinated voluntary muscular movements. A person lose their balance. Now moving to the pons varoli. We have some information about pons varoli in the respiratory system also. Because it is going to, along with medulla oblongata, it is also playing a vital role in the breathing process, that regulation of the breathing. Then where does the pons varoli is located? It lies in front of the cerebellum, below the midbrain and above the medulla oblongata. Then it consists of nerve fiber which form a bridge between the two cerebellar hemispheres. As we said, the two cerebral hemispheres are connected by corpus callosum. Two cerebellar hemispheres are connected by pons varoli. The connection between the cerebral hemisphere and pons varoli is said to be that cerebral peduncle or pleura cerebri. So need to remember all the corrections here. We may get mad the following. Then what is pons varoli? A relay station between the cerebellum and spinal cord and the rest of the brain. How is it possible? That we said about the pleura cerebri earlier. Pons is connecting with pleura, that cerebral hemisphere, with the help of pleura cerebri. And pons has a pneumotaxic center. What is pneumotaxic center? It involved in the control of respiratory muscle. Regulate the amount of air a person can take in each time. What do you say it as? By giving information to the medulla oblongata, where medulla oblongata contains respiratory rhythm center. Then medulla oblongata, that posterior most part of the brain it is. It extends from the pons varoli above and continues with the spinal cord below. It contains cardiovascular and respiratory centers, that swallowing, vomiting, coughing, sneezing, hiccuping, these are all going to be functions here. All these are going to be functions of medulla oblongata. So talking about choroid plexus, that the roof of diencephalon, what is called epithalamus, associated with the overlying pia mater, which form a bunch of capillary network. You can see here, that is anterior choroid plexus. Similarly, the roof of medulla oblongata is having a bunch of capillary network. What do you call? Posterior choroid plexus, anterior choroid plexus, and posterior choroid plexus. These two not there in NCERT text here, but just namesake we are learning. And this is very important in NEET examination point of view. The ventricles, the cavities of the brain, that there are four ventricles here, that 1 and 2 ventricles are located in the cerebral hemisphere. We say they are lateral ventricles or 1 and 2 ventricles, present in right and left cerebral hemisphere. Third ventricle is there in diencephalon. We call it as diaceal. The fourth ventricle is in medulla oblongata. That is called myelocele. and the 1 and 2 ventricles are connected each other. See the diagram. 1 and 2 ventricles are connected each other. They are having separate opening into the third ventricle with the help of foramen Monroe, and third ventricle connected to the fourth ventricle with the help of iter or aqueducti sylvius. That most happening question, that iter or aqueducti sylvius. That most happened already. Third ventricle connection to the fourth ventricle, that we say iter or aqueducti sylvius. Foramen of Monroe is the connection between the 1 and 2 with third, and iter or aqueducti sylvius is a third ventricle connection to the fourth ventricle. Need to remember and recognize where does the ventricles are present and what is the connection between the ventricles. The remaining portion is there from not necessary at present condition, as we are doing revision there. Just let's take about a look on spinal cord. Then after we'll move towards that particular remaining issues of the brain. The spinal cord is located in the vertebral canal or neural canal of the vertebral column. It is protected by the bony arch of each vertebrae, each vertebral column. As we said earlier yesterday, that each vertebrae is having a neural canal through which our spinal cord is passing through. Even spinal cord is surrounded by three layers of meninges: the dura mater, arachnoid matter, and pia mater. And that spinal cord divided into right and left halves by anterior median fissure and posterior median sulcus, that you can see in the diagram. Posterior median sulcus, anterior median fissure. That if you remember the sulcus is the shallow groove, the fissure is the deepest groove. And along with that, you can see some more portions here, like the gray matter if of the spinal cord is inside, and white matter outside, which is reverse to the brain. And the gray matter is in the form of H-shaped or butterfly shape. The myelinated axons of the white matter is collectively called funiculus. There you can see that anterior funiculus. Anterior you need to understand in the form of ventral side of human being. Posterior funiculus, the dorsal side. Lateral funiculus. These are all parts of white matter here, not at present, at least in intermediate, not required. Just showing that's all. Now let's take it out. The gray matter dorsal horn is sensory. The gray matter ventral horn is motor. So the dorsal horn and ventral horn fuse each other and form a spinal nerve. We can say spinal nerve is a mixed nerve. When question is asked why the spinal nerve is mixed, means we need to say the dorsal horn or posterior one is that motor, and the ventral horn, the dorsal horn is sensory, ventral horn is motor. So each spinal nerve is formed by the combining of dorsal and ventral horns. Okay. The remaining, we don't have in NCERT that particular issues. We don't have in NCERT. This diagram represents exclusive NCERT text here. Gray matter is gray in color because of cell bodies, neuroglial cells and dendrites, unmyelinated axon. White matter means, you can say that white matter means that myelinated axons can be seen over. Okay, the dorsal root of spinal nerve and ventral root of the spinal nerve. You can see dorsal root ganglion also here. That where pseudounipolar neurons are located. If you remember, that is given in structural organization. So this diagram is enough for us to say. Remaining all issues that it is going to be optional to you. Not nowadays you are not getting this particular. That cranial nerves, that 12 pairs of cranial nerves are present. Olfactory, optic, oculomotor, trochlear, trigeminal, abducens, facial, auditory, glossopharyngeal, vagus, spinal accessory, hypoglossal. The 12 pairs of cranial nerves in human being. In that olfactory nerves are going to be sensory nerves, optic or sensory, oculomotor are also olfactory nerves, sensory, optic, sensory, oculomotor, motor, trochlear, motor, trigeminal. Trigeminal is a mixed nerve, and abducens is a motor nerve, facial is a mixed nerve. Neural control. Okay, let's. That facial is a mixed nerve, auditory is the sensory one, glossopharyngeal and mixed nerve. Vagus is a mixed nerve, spinal accessory and hypoglossal are said to be motor nerves. Now let's get into the topic here. Neural control and coordination. I think I promised you to send the brain PDF. Okay, so I'll send it to you now. I'll send it to you. Okay, neural control and coordination. Let's start. The little bit complicated portion here, but remember, like skeletal system, here also you're not going to get huge questions here. That simple questions here, the terminology need to be related over. Means like cerebral peduncle, corpora cerebri, sulci, gyri, amygdala, hippocampus, limbic system should have some primary idea. For that, my PDF is enough actually. That everything is visualized there within a short period of time. Within 3-4 minutes, you can revise the total brain at a time. So that's why I suggest that to revise in that particular PDF which I am going to send to you. Okay, now let's come through this nervous system. It is a system that controls and coordinates the body activities and conducts, integrates the information and responds to the stimuli. It includes brain, spinal cord, and nerves. It is made up of specialized cells known as neurons. Neuron is the structural and functional unit of nervous system. It has three main parts like cell body, dendron, and axon. So structure of neuron, cell body, which contains cytoplasm, cell organelles, and Nissl granules. Remember, the presence of Nissl granules only gives gray color appearance to that particular. Throughout the brain, we used a word called gray matter, white matter in the spinal cord also. So wherever these particular Nissl granules are present, where they are present, see in the diagram, cyton and dendrites are having Nissl granules. So this particular area present means that area appears like gray color. Short fibers that project out the cell body are called dendrons. The sub-branches of the dendrons are called dendrites. They transmit impulses towards the cell body. This basic we'll discuss in separate way. Okay, then let me go in a primary issue here. Axon nerve fiber, along fiber which transmit impulses away from the cell body. That axon, the branching of axon is called axonide. Each axonide ends as a bulb-like structure called synaptic knob. You can see here the synaptic knob. The types of neurons, multipolar neurons, which include many dendrites, one axon, bipolar neuron, one axon, one dendron, found in the retina of eye. And multipolar neurons is common in cerebral cortex. Unipolar neuron, one axon only, found in the embryonic stages. Types of axon, myelinated, non-myelinated. So the two things you need to remember here, that the myelin sheath gives white color appearance and the Nissl granule gives gray color appearance. So that we have to apply in our brain. So, okay, let's come to the myelinated axon. It is enveloped with Schwann cells which form a myelin sheath around the axon. The found in spinal and cranial nerves. The white colored area formed of myelinated nerve fibers is called white matter. The gap between the two adjacent myelin sheaths are called nodes of Ranvier. In case of non-myelinated, Schwann cells are present, but they don't secrete myelin sheath. Itself, our non-myelinated axons are going to be located in the grooves of Schwann cell. The gray colored area without myelin sheath is called gray matter. Found in autonomic and somatic neural systems. The myelinated axon, myelin sheath you can see, and the node of Ranvier. Okay, so before we go there, that I separately we take time for the conduction and propagation of nerve impulse here. That we separate time will take. Then we are completed brain. That's why let's go with the brain here. The basics of the neurons and conduction and propagation of nerve impulse will take a separate class. Okay, let's complete this area. Human neural system, we said central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system include brain and spinal cord. Peripheral nervous system, somatic neural system, and autonomic neural system. The central nervous system, which include brain, it is protected by cranial cavity. It has three-layered connective tissue, membrane called cranial meninges, the dura mater outer, middle arachnoid, and inner pia mater, as I shown all to you. The subarachnoid space between the pia mater and arachnoid matter is filled with the cerebrospinal fluid. The ventricles of brain are also filled with cerebrospinal fluid. Interestingly, the cerebrospinal fluid of ventricles, that the meninges cerebrospinal fluid are having connection with the help of anterior choroid and posterior choroid plexus. The brain has three divisions: forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain. Forebrain include cerebrum, diencephalon. Diencephalon include thalamus, hypothalamus. As now we are going pure NCRT here. The largest portion, the cerebrum is, it has cerebral hemisphere which held together by a tract of fiber, to be remembered corpus callosum, and outer region of the cerebral is called cortex, which is gray matter. What it means? Gray matter, cytons are present, dendrites are present, and unmyelinated axons are present in the gray matter. Then it contains gyri and sulcite. Inner region of the cerebrum is called cerebral medulla, which is formed of white matter, which means myelinated axons are present, only myelinated axons. Then that cerebral cortex contain, as we said now, sensory and motor and association areas. That now at least for before, just before examination, no need to recognize that Broca's area, Wernicke's area, that out of syllabus it will come over actually. That Broca's area, association areas are there, Wernicke's area, spatial association area, verbal association area, various portions here. No matter, just to remember that we have three areas: sensory, motor, and association. What is the function of cerebrum? Intelligence, memory, judgment, learning, thinking, and articulation of the speech, all they are possible by this particular forebrain, that cerebrum particularly. Diencephalon, thalamus, structure around with the cerebrum wraps, and it's a coordinating center, relay station, we say, for sensory and motor impulses. Hypothalamus regulates the temperature, thirst, hunger, and emotion, that secrete hypothalamic hormones and control the pituitary gland, control sleep, wakefulness, blood pressure, heart rate. The inner parts of the cerebral hemisphere and a group of associated deep structures like amygdala, hippocampus, hypothalamus together constitute limbic system. We have small variation with our text. It regulates the sexual behavior and motivations, emotions like excitement, pleasure, rage, fear. All these particular are done by limbic system itself. And midbrain or mesencephalon, located between the thalamus or hypothalamus and pons. A canal, cerebral aqueduct, passed through the midbrain. So, iter or aqueducti sylvius. That's why I'm going fast here, which you already seen. Visualize everything here. That four optic lobes of the midbrain are corpora quadrigemina with superior caliculi and inferior caliculi. The superior caliculi for visual reflexes, inferior caliculi is for auditory reflexes. Hindbrain. The rhombencephalon consists of cerebellum, pons, and medulla oblongata. Midbrain and hindbrain form the brain stem. In detail, we are seen earlier. The cerebellum is called little cerebrum, and it has very convoluted surfaces, accommodate more neurons. It coordinates muscular activity and body equilibrium. Pons varoli, that consists of fiber tracts that interconnect the different regions of the brain, as it coordinates the activities of the eye and ear and regulates the respiration. Medulla oblongata we are coming for. Medulla oblongata, which connects the spinal cord, will be continued as spinal cord. And along with the pons, it also controls the respiration. And also cardiovascular reflexes, gastric secretion, peristaltic movements, all they are controlled by medulla oblongata itself. And it also controls salivation vomiting, and sneezing, coughing, reflex reactions. We say all these are. So then moving on to the spinal cord here, that medulla oblongata will continue in the form of spinal cord. It is enclosed within the spinal canal of vertebral column. It is also protected by meninges, three: dura mater, pia mater, and arachnoid, and it having central canal that containing cerebrospinal fluid. Then here reverse it is in compare with the brain, outer white matter and then gray matter. Conduction of impulses go and from the brain through the spinal cord only, and that spinal reflexes. It's a center for spinal reflexes. Okay, this is all about the spinal cord, and moving on to the peripheral nervous system. It includes cranial nerves and spinal nerves. The nerve fibers of PNS are two types: afferent, which carry impulses from sense organs to the CNS; efferent, which carry impulses from CNS to muscles and glands. The two divisions of PNS: somatic neural system and autonomic neural system. When it comes to the somatic neural system, that relays impulses from the CNS to the skeletal muscle, that you see that particular relates impulses from the CNS to skeletal muscles. Autonomic nervous system transmit the impulses from CNS to involuntary organs and smooth muscle. It includes sympathetic and parasympathetic nerves. Sympathetic system, which prepares the body to cope with emergencies, stress, and dangers. It increases heart rate, breathing rate, constricts arteries, and elevates blood pressure. Parasympathetic is going to be at resting state. Contrast, it works with the sympathetic nervous system, like after stressful situations, and slows down the heartbeat, dilates arteries, lowers the BP. Likewise. Okay. So then need to discuss about the more issues here. That to discuss that, you re-log in again. Re-log in again. There are some basics and conduction and propagation of nerve impulse we need to look forward. To do re-log in again, and we continue with the topic. We'll take 5